So what's the process once that CV's sent through and you've taken the time? The reason why I ask that is because obviously we have to reject candidates who apply for jobs and part of that is we know who is getting past the first vetting stage with partners who we work with and who isn't. And you've got to make a hard decision sometimes. So, I mean, I presume that's something what happens with you quite a lot. But after that vetting process has happened, what's the process there at 10 Chambers?
I like to have a very slim process, but also very quick process. Sometimes it's not possible because, you have very busy managers. But from an HR perspective, it's important to get like communication very fast. So I always try to answer everyone within a week, even if you're declined or moving forward in the process. And if you haven't got a respond within a week, I always send, hey, just so you know, we haven't forgotten you, we are working on it, sorry, because I think it's important.
Yeah, for sure.
But the first stage in our recruitment process is basically a interview with me, of them, and the recruiting manager. And it's often a very short conversation, like 45 minutes, get to know each other, very basic. But I think that's pretty, I don't like the feeling of being interrogated. So I'm trying to stay away from that, especially in the first interview round. I'm trying to actually talk a lot from my side, give the candidate a lot of information about the company and all of that, and about us and how we work. Because, it should be a fit from both sides. And then mostly talking about, okay, what are your keen interests? What do you want to work with? That have you worked with before? Very, not going to detail. It's like a programmer role. We're not going into, super tech-focused questions. Of course, we're going to say, oh, have you worked with C# or whatever it might be, but not going into details. And if you move over to the next one, it's often a test, if it's an art test or a programming test that is specifically for that role. And then our experts in the area is looking into that one. And if you move over to the next round, it's the last interview that is around 2 hours, more into nitty-gritty level and talking about all tech. But it could also be a lot about culture, values, how the person wants to collaborate, and what kind of person it is in in a group, and those kind of questions. And that's basically it. And of course, reference stage after that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it is a very slim process. 2 interviews, often in some cases been 3, and 1 test. That is the overlook of the process.
It's an interesting one. And I think the 2-stage process is king at the minute. Because, there's a lot of people looking for work at the minute, but that also means that they're going to be speaking to other people. And I know from experience, your process is pretty thorough. But at the end of that, people are always quite engaged in the prospect of joining with you guys. So, 2-stage interview, everyone should do that.
I agree. I do not understand how you need 8 interviews with maybe 15 different people. I do not understand that. And how can 15 people come to the same conclusion? I don't understand.
Yeah. And it's about momentum, isn't it? You want engagement from the person who might be joining you. You want them to feel bought into and acknowledged and seen. And, if that process can be relatively quick and everything's done right, then at the end of it, they'll want to join you as much as you want them to join.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And I mean, especially in the games industry, because there's so much about passion here. So if it's the right game for the right candidate, then everything else will be succeeding, I think.